I've been seeing a fair bit of discourse on the use of queer labels. Some saying there's no difference between some sexualities, others saying you have to fit a label perfectly for you to be able to use it. I don't agree with either of these perspectives. For some people, their labels might never change and they're happy that way, while others you can find a label that describes them better than a previous one and switch to using the new one. Your label Your label's changing doesn't invalidate who you are or how you felt. Hey there, Zabby Bunny. I think we should be using labels to most accurately describe who we are as individuals currently. Let people question themselves and try on new labels. Maybe they'll stick, maybe they won't. The only hurt that is caused really is when people are not allowed to express the person that they actually are. And a lot of the time, people can feel trapped in their personal expression if they're thought they can't express a different way because they have to be male. Let's talk about one of the more common pieces of discourse I see, that bisexual and pansexual mean essentially the same thing. The statement is sort of true. Both sexualities describe attraction to more than one gender. In many cases, sure, they can be used interchangeably, but not every case. So, what's the key distinction? Bi means attracted to multiple genders, just meaning more than one, could be two, could be more, while also including your same gender. Whereas pan means gender doesn't play a role in who you're attracted to. I think of bisexual as an umbrella term for attraction to more than one gender, like how non binary is an umbrella term for many different genders.
But bi means one, so it's reinforcing the gender binary.
Right. I forgot every word we use to communicate we use to communicate in English is a definitive and fixed meaning because we were handed a complete language 2,000 years ago, and it never changes. I guess by that logic, bilingual reinforces the language binary, English and foreign. I use bisexual because that was the literal medical diagnosis used to describe our condition of homosexual light, and we have since reclaimed to make our own. Honestly, I didn't even know of the term pansexual until like 3 years ago, and when I did learn of it, I did use that label for a time. I assumed pan was a proper label for me until I had realized that, hey, gender does influence who I'm attracted to. I've since switched back to identifying as bisexual because it seems we still have some reclaiming to do. The next piece of discourse I want to touch on is you have to fit the label perfectly in order to use it. Strongly disagree here. I'm of the opinion that people should use a new label to describe themselves if they feel like it fits. If a guy prefers to label himself straight, but does in fact find a fraction of men sexually attractive, then I wouldn't say he's wrong with his label. Perhaps he doesn't feel a strong connection to his bi side. Perhaps he doesn't feel justified using bisexual to describe himself because of bi-gating, saying that bi is 50% straight and 50% gay. This is not true. Bi people can be 50-50, 75-25, 99-1, and anywhere in between or outside of, using a scale of masculine to feminine attraction. I used to actually identify as bi, but got tired of all the garbage that people spew at bi people. There's a stupid amount of biphobia in the queer community. Yes, there is. There's way too much gatekeeping behind it. I am trying to make a push against that. That's what my community is all about. So as people explore and use new labels, they will stick to what fits them and move away from labels that don't actually feel right. So, somebody that jumps into a queer community and starts calling themselves a lesbian, even though they're a cisgender male, might be doing it for the ha ha shits and giggles, but they're going to be bored of it sooner or later, especially if we don't show them that they're enraging us, because that's what they want. You gotta ignore the trolls. Okay, lastly, on the label discourse, xenogenders and neopronouns. Honestly, I struggle with understanding xenogenders. I just can't wrap my head around tying a gender identity to something that doesn't relate to the masculine feminine spectrum. I feel like I'm ice gendered. Okay, I'll respect how you want to be addressed, but I want to understand where you're coming from. This is an argument from intuition, but xenogenders feel like the attack helicopter to me, just from progressives. It's far easier for me to understand people that prefer to use gender queer, non binary, or agender when they don't feel attachment to the male female binary we were told that's just how it is. If anyone that does identify with xenogenders would like to talk to me about it, I would be more than happy to have them on to chat about it. I genuinely want to know more. Now, for neopronouns. To be completely honest, I'm not bothered by neopronouns. I may be non binary, but she, her fits me just fine. Functionally, I'm fine with the trio pronouns set used in English. I do understand that there are people that don't like the pronouns that are currently mainstream. I get a feeling of resistance to the systems that we were forced into without our consent. Do I think that in the future we will have 48 sets of pronouns? No, probably not, but I do think there is room to have more than 3 sets. Sure, I think most prominent neopronouns could be normalized. In the end, use the labels that you feel describe you the best. Try on new labels and define yourself however you want. As long as those labels are not used to shame anyone, why would it affect me which ones you want to use? Oh, that's all my thoughts on labels and identities, at least for the current time. Uh, Anybody with disagreements, I'd be more than happy to talk about or talk with. Just let me know.